Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Beers of War podcast. I'm one of your gracious hosts, Beer Ninja, and we got Matilda82 with us today. And we like to introduce a very special guest of the Beers of War, Sixgun himself. Say hello, Sixgun.
Hello, Sixgun.
There you go. So today's podcast, we're actually going to be talking about The Last of Us. We're going to talk about our experiences with it and just where we're at with when it comes to the TV show. And some of us have actually played the game, so we kind of want to do a little comparison and everything. So, well, we welcome you guys to walk. And so I'm gonna go ahead. Matilda, why don't you go ahead and kickstart it for us? What's your thoughts about it so far?
So my thoughts is coming from the background of not playing the games yet and just based off of what I've picked up on internet and reading, and then when it finally came out and watching it, my first overall opinion is I'm hooked. I know my brother or my son's watching it. I even got my wife hooked into it, so the three of us watch it every Sunday now. Overall, it's probably one of my favorite shows in the last 6 months that I've watched. So
if you were to compare it to other like zombie shows that were out there and everything, how would this stack up for you?
Because I watched the first several seasons of The Walking Dead. If you want to probably compare it to that, The Walking Dead was pretty good, but it just got to the point where The Walking Dead just got a little bit repetitive. I know we're only 4 episodes into The Last of Us. We're still doing a little bit of character development. I'm starting to learn a little bit of the backgrounds, but I'm starting to see some of the dynamics between the main 2 characters change. Starting to see a little bit more of what the post-apocalyptic America looks like. So, yeah, right now it's still in the infancy, but so far it's a pretty good story. It's keeping me captivated all the way through each episode. Even with episode 3, which kind of got away from the whole apocalypse thing and kind of went in a different direction, was still a pretty good episode overall. So that's where I'm at right now with it.
Yeah, you mentioned about the episode 3 and everything, and honestly, it did kind of take me for a loop right there, considering. Now, just to let you guys know what we're talking about here, it is going to be a little bit of a spoiler alert. So if you haven't watched the show or played the game, you probably want to click out of this at this point. So we're going to dive right into it here. So as far as that, Sixgun, what do you think? What did you think about the show so far? I mean, just like where your stance is on it.
So first off, I'm a huge fan of Naughty Dog. When it comes down to it, Uncharted was one of my favorite series I've ever played on any system. I love the story with Nathan Drake and the gameplay and the treasure hunting and all that kind of stuff. So going into it, I never played the games. Kind of had some expectation. I had no premises of what it was. I had no premise. I just assumed it was going to be Naughty Dog Uncharted style because I didn't know anything about the game. And we started watching it, my wife and I, and immediately realized this is, post-apocalyptic, zombie style storyline. And we enjoy the story. I'm enjoying the story. I love Resident Evil. The whole apocalyptic T-virus thing, the fungus that we're dealing with not Uncharted, but with Last of Us.
Right.
That kind of stuff it tempts your imagination because it could happen. You think, oh, this could really happen. What if, right? And that really brings you into it. For me, and I'm not a queasy guy, but the fungus-headed people they make me nauseous. I look at them, I'm thinking, oh, my stomach starts turning. I'm like, what would I do?
You talking about the clickers and everything?
Yeah,
got that cauliflower head thing going on right now.
Yeah. Barf. And I'm a guy, I love food. And I'll eat almost anything, but the one thing I just can't stomach, mushrooms. So it's something with me and fungus. But the storyline itself is really good. I think the acting and the characterization is fantastic. From what I understand, The game, which I haven't played again, and the story and the series follows almost hand in hand. So I expect the game and the storyline is probably very good. I would like to go back at some point and play it. Obviously, it's, a lot of times video games are wrapped into movies.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally, a video game is made from a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times where I've played games like we were talking about earlier, GoldenEye. I'd never actually watched a James Bond movie start to finish until after I played N64 GoldenEye.
Mm-hmm.
And that stimulated me to want to watch the movie. And when I did, I ended up becoming a huge James Bond fan, watched all 20 some odd movies. And sometimes these things interact, and the storyline and the writing and everything is just phenomenal enough that you can do either one.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy the gaming side of it because you get to be more interactive. It's more personal experience. But as far as the show, The Last of Us, it's one of those things, and I'm almost reluctant. Normally when the next episode comes out, I'm like, I can't wait. And I'm like, I don't want to watch it. I want to watch it. No, I don't want to watch it. Yeah, I need to watch it.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, I'm on the edge. I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm on the edge of anticipation. So it's got me hooked. It's got me grappled, but at the same time, I'm kind of backing off.
What do you think about the actors that are portraying the two main characters? That you got Joel and Ellie, Pedro Pascal filling in the role of Joel right there. I mean, this guy has done amazing strides in, movies and TV series. I mean, we all, like me, my first introduction to Pedro Pascal has been with The Mandalorian.
A lot of people were introduced to The Mandalorian.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm so looking forward to season 3. So how do you think his portrayal of Joel is so far? Is it working? Like, I think it's working for him.
I think he's a fantastic actor.
Absolutely.
I can't think of anyone that could have done a better job of what he's doing with the characterization of that character.
Yeah, he seems like he's starting to typecast himself as a father figure.
Right? He's kind of got that persona going for him. He is. I think he does a really good job in this show of being the reluctant protector. He doesn't want to. He's still very much wounded years later of the loss of his daughter. So but at the same time, he's naturally a father figure in his mind and in his heart. So he wants to stand up and protect and be there for her. But at the same time, he doesn't want to be hurt with the loss or potential loss, which is high. Is high potential for losing this person.
Yeah, he still seems reluctant to really open up to her as of right now, as we're at in the storyline. But you could kind of start to see in the latest episode that barrier he's built is starting to crumble a little bit. And so he's slowly starting to kind of accept her. Because originally he called her at the beginning of the latest episode, he called her cargo. Tim, that's all she is right now, is to get what he wants, is to get her from point A to point B. And I've got a feeling as somebody who doesn't know too far in the storyline, I've got a feeling that bond or that relationship dynamic will start to change between the two of them as the story progresses and goes on.
My take, as far as the progression of the characterization and the relationship between Ella and what's Pedro Pascal's character? Joel. Ella and Joel, he's going to finally kind of give in, I think, as a father figure and a mentor, and take on teaching her survival skills, teaching her and just bonding. I think you'll see a lot of that going forward. That's my expectation. Without having played the game, without knowing too much, but I think that's where it's going to go, and that's where I'd like to see it go. And I look forward to that. But like I say, I think he's kind of standing up and putting up a wall and shielding himself from the emotions of fatherhood and that mentorship role with her because of the scar tissue left behind from losing his daughter.
I mean, it's anybody's game when it comes to the show, because there are some differences between the show and the game right there. I honestly think you're pretty spot on about it, as far as developing that mentorship, that fathership, and everything that comes along with it and whatnot. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely, definitely. I see that building up towards the story arc and everything, and kind of just following up, circling back to like episode 3 and everything. Was it Offerman? What's the actor's name?
Offerman.
Yes, totally took me by surprise with the character. I know exactly the character he's playing, and that is as Bill. And honestly, I think he did a fantastic job filling in the role right there. I thought he did an excellent job. And like I said, spoiler alerts and everything, when it came to his character, it was actually kind of different. By the time that Ellie and Joel met up with him and everything like that, he was actually already gone. You know, his character story arc built up to the point where, he was a survivalist. You know, he pretty much took a town and took over and just made it his own. And I don't know how you said it. He found love. You know, like he found love in the story arc, how they went towards the TV show and everything. And he kind of like had a purpose to live and whatnot. And now he has something to protect. He has someone to protect, somebody he cares about. Somebody he loves and everything. And at that point, when they were doing that whole episode through him, the things that the big changes about it was this. In the game itself, you actually meet up with Bill, and you're actually going through the whole neighborhood trying to get to this certain objective. I believe they were trying to get to a certain truck so they would get a battery, they can get some wheels, and they can head on towards their goal and everything. Now, if you missed out on the game portion of it, if you don't quite search the house that you see, because what ends up happening, like I said, this is a spoiler alert, you actually end up in a house where Frank, the love interest right there, is hanging from a ceiling because Frank had been missing this whole time, right? So we saw Frank in the game, he's hung, and he can't believe what's happened. Bill's like kind of freaking out, like here he's been this whole time and everything. So while Bill's in the garage trying to work on the car and everything, Joel's in the house with Ellie, and they're kind of searching through it, because throughout the game, you're always searching through houses looking for supplies and whatnot. Well, you happen to stumble upon a letter. And basically, what's really different between the two, and it still works with the TV show, but it's just completely opposite. Frank actually wrote a letter saying, if you find this letter, it's basically, I'm dead at this point. Mm-hmm. Yes, I tried to get the battery. I tried to get the vehicle. I tried to go. He hated Bill's guts. Hated Bill's guts and everything. And he wanted to get away from him and everything. But what's really cool about the TV series and that specific episode right there is it's actually all throughout the series, the TV series, it's like run through with the same guy who created the story of The Last of Us. So he kind of changed it up a bit. And I think you know a little bit about this too, Brandon. And so he kind of changed it up a bit and everything, but it works. Mm-hmm. So in the episode, they're in love with each other. They have a life together and everything. But in the game, they're kind of like opposites of each other at that point. Frank just couldn't stand Bill, and he tried to leave on his own, and it didn't quite exactly work out. But the only way you get to discover that in the game is if you're searching through the house, you actually find a letter that Frank wrote to Bill if he ever found him. So that was kind of mind-blowing to me in the TV series and everything. But Offerman did a wonderful job playing as Bill and everything. I honestly wouldn't change that episode for the world. I thought it worked out pretty good. So I'm really open to those kind of changes when it comes to the story, because I'm coming in this with fresh pair of eyes. I got done playing the game just a few weeks ago, and now I'm watching the series. I'm already caught up on it and everything. So it's been a really cool ride so far, and a lot of the character development that's not only happening in the game but happening in the TV show, it's very similar. It is really almost word for word with what they're saying in some instances and everything. I mean, I can talk all day about it, what I've discovered from the game based off of the TV series. You know, Pedro Pascal is doing a wonderful job as Joel, and please forgive me, I forget the actress's name. I know
Bella,
she's
Bella
Ellie.
Ramsey is
What's that, Ramsey?
Bella Ramsey is her name. It's like
Yes,
Isabella
She was
Ramsey.
in Game of Thrones.
Yes, she was the
that's
queen of the
right.
Bear.
She was the little girl that became the Lord of
She like
Bear
took
Islanders.
over that.
Mormont. She was a Mormont.
I remember that
Yeah.
now. Now that you bring that up, she totally stole those scenes in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And now with her being Ellie, I'm going to be honest with you. She looks really nothing like Ellie, but she definitely has that attitude and that mentality of Ellie from the game and
She's
everything.
demonstrative. She takes charge. She's independent.
Exactly,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, she's actually starting to grow on me in the TV show and everything. And up to the certain point. Now, I believe let's see what else here. I mean, it's just when I first started playing the game, I'll be honest with you from my personal experience, I didn't know if I was really going to get into it or not. But then I kind of soldiered through it and everything, and then I'm starting to get hooked on the story. And so going throughout the story, like what they are going through together, I think we're going to see a lot of that in the TV show right there. So there's a lot of good things to come that we're going to be seeing here pretty soon. Now, I haven't played the second game yet, and that's actually on my list of things to do. And I kind of want to do a comparison on that based off of the TV show as well. But so far, I'm really enjoying the series as far as like where they're going with the direction of it and everything. And I just kind of want to see more of the story arc and the character development. Early on through the TV show, we got introduced to a character named Tess, and Tess was kind of a big influence in Joel's life after the whole I don't know what you would call it, but a pandemic or something like that.
That's beyond pandemic, I think. I think pandemic would be the infancy stage of whatever's going on.
Pretty much, because they eventually meet later on down the road, and the actress, may she rest in peace, from what I heard, she recently passed away from in the TV show and everything at 45, but she did a phenomenal job as Tess, very similar to the character from the video game and everything. So basically their goal in the video game is to, like Shane said earlier, she's pretty much cargo at that point. But there's also an incentive for Joel to be doing this mission because he needs to reach his brother Tommy, who you also get to see in the video game and in the movie TV series. I'm sorry. So there's a lot riding on it and everything. And I'll be honest with you, when you play the game, there's a certain point in there that you're going to realize Joel's kind of an asshole and everything. But I don't know where they're going to take it with the show. But Joel is still a lovable character in the video game because eventually. And I think you hit the nail right on the head right there, Shane. They developed that mentorship and that love and stuff like that. But there's still so many twists and turns that happen in the game, and I think we're going to see that a lot in the TV series right there. It's going to be very exciting to see what direction they go with the show because, like I said, a lot of it that you see in the show is what's happening in the game right there as well. Now, there are some story arcs that were changed a little bit, but it works. I think it really does.
So my question for you, Tim, is coming from somebody who's played the first game and has watched up until we're at currently in this series. And I know in one of the previous podcasts, we were talking about the Halo series and how they went away from source material. Up at this point, how do you feel? Are they sticking to source material, or are they taking a lot of creative liberty in their work as of right now?
I'm going to say there's actually a combination of both right there. Now, I'm going to be upfront and honest. I haven't watched the Halo series. Of course, I've read, the reviews and stuff like that and how far off it's from like the source material and everything. But if I had to compare the source material with The Last of Us video game and the TV series, it's very close. Like, to be honest with you, I'm very impressed with the direction that they're going with this because we've seen a lot of video game movies in the past that are complete and utter flops. I mean, I can name a few of them from the top of my head right now, even though I've had a few beers in me. Mario Brothers, right? That was definitely one of them. Street Fighter, that was definitely one of them. Not a whole lot of source material involved right there and everything. And if you really want to get into it, the Star Wars, the last three episodes right there, although entertaining, was not necessary. Completely off. Matter of fact, they practically decanonized some of the Star Wars series, but I'm very hopeful with the guys who's backing up with the Mandalorian are going to bring that back. But as far as circling back to The Last of Us there, absolutely, man. They're using a lot of source material because, like I said before, the guy that's actually helped I shouldn't say showboating, who's running this whole operation, who's in the background, who's really helping out with it, is I cannot remember his name. His last name's Drunkman. I know that. And he's the guy that actually basically created The Last of Us, and he's really seeing this through, and he's kind of putting a different take on it. It's his story, so he can change it any way he wants. And to be honest with you, he is really close with the story arc when it comes to the video game and the TV series. Like I said, there have been some story arcs that were changed with some of the characters and everything, but it works.
I think as long as he's in charge of the narrative,
yeah,
it's going to be fine.
It is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I think the changes they've made is not something that's going to affect the story down the road and per se.
I mean,
it's more of the tweaks they've done affect this episode and won't carry on. It's like with Halo, and another one, I never played a Halo game, but reading the views and watching 6 of the 8 episodes, what everybody's telling me is how much different they scrapped everything with the source material and basically put their own creative spin on everything and ruin the series or ruin the show.
I'll be honest with you. I know it's kind of off topic, but I've watched the Halo series and I played the games. And if you accept the fact that they're making a series out of a game so you got to take into consideration the fact that games are made to keep you involved for a certain amount of time, right? So there's a lot of lulls and low points and dragging on and scavenging and things going on in a game. You can't just wrap all that into a show and make it within 2 hours or within a television series, whatever that is, 12 episodes or whatever, 8 episodes. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's necessary to go off on a tangent or skew off of the original narrative to make a show with the basic idea of a character, right? So you're not really completely redefining the character. You're just kind of rewriting some of their story. And if you accept that and you watch the Halo series, it's not bad. I was able to watch it. I wanted to watch the next one. I wanted to watch the next one. I wanted to watch the next one. I was compelled, which is ultimately what good television is about. Good TV, good movies. You want to be compelled.
Absolutely.
If you open up your mind, now, if you're a dogmatic fan of a game, it's your game. This game at some point impacted your life massively. You want that story in a movie. Well, guess what? You had that story. You had that story. You lived that story as that character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why not adapt and accept the fact that you can experience another story, another version of that character's story?
And that's why it works with the show.
Exactly.
You hit it right there because, I mean, why are you going to make a TV series of a video game that you already know exactly how the outcome's going to be and everything? Why not put a little twists and turns right there and make it a little bit different, a little more interesting? That works.
It keeps you interested. It keeps it fresh. Yeah. And it keeps you from saying, well, I'll wait a couple episodes because I know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps people coming back week after week.
And there is a difference. There's a balance right there, too, when it comes to the show and the game, because you want to appease both parties. You want to appease the fans that made this game big, and yet you want to also appease the audience that you're trying to show this to as well that may not necessarily had played the game, right? And so that's a hard balance right there. And I think the people that are behind The Last of Us is actually doing a pretty good job in doing it. Now, I can give you a perfect example of somebody, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, all right, that I don't think is doing a really good job on it, is the people behind the Witcher series. Now, I know this is kind of long and drawn out because it's already been talked about before, but it's really kind of coming off base of the source material.
Well, that's why Henry Cavill left.
Pretty much. I
You
mean,
know?
yeah, exactly. Pretty much. I mean, season 3 is going to be the last season that we see Henry Cavill in,
Yeah.
and then we got another guy filling in the role right there. Which I'm not going to dog the dude.
I've heard good things so far.
It's
They're
a him.
saying
Was it Liam?
yeah, Liam Neeson, not Neeson.
Hemsworth. Yeah. And
Hemsworth.
I'm going to watch it and everything, but I can tell you right now, after season 2, they really started veering off the source material and stuff like that. And I think that's why a lot of people got a lot of bad taste in their mouth when it comes to that. But when it comes to The Last of Us, I personally think there's a balance right there that kind of just blends in with both of the crowds right there, and it really works for me. I hardly have anything really bad to say about the show, to be honest with you.
This is good. And another good example, I think, would be the Assassin's Creed movie.
Man, I was about to bring that up.
As much as I love the games, and even from what I said earlier, I can stand back and take it as another representation of a story. And I just felt like they left a lot on the table.
They did, because we watched that movie together in the movie theater, and when we walked out, one of the first things that came out of our mouths was
material was lacking, and they didn't build the relationship between the.
It never should have been a movie.
Yeah.
It never should have been a movie.
Television series would have been so.
It would have been perfect which, from what I hear in the grapevine, they're actually making. I think it's Netflix.
It's Amazon.
It's Amazon.
Yeah.
Well, fine. Either way, they're going to make it into a TV series. That's how they should do that kind of source material.
And that goes back to games being made in TV and movies. When you play a game, when people write games, it's just like a book. Right? But it's even deeper than a book, because you're actually living that character. You have options. You can make choices. In a book, you don't get that as a character. Unless it's one of those choose your own adventure books, which, some of us are older than others and remember those kind of things. But, you get to make choices. You get to make your own turns on the path. Whereas in a book, you're just reading someone's story.
You're reading a, linear? Linear version of
Whereas a game is more of a 3D experience, imagination wise.
Yeah.
And so you get so enveloped into the story from a personal standpoint, and then when you see a movie, they make a movie out of it. They pick and choose what the highlights are, and then cram it all into one little thing. And sometimes they hit it right, sometimes they don't.
You're exactly right.
And it's because it's personal to every person. No two people experience a game in the same way when they play through it.
And I think the fans will actually pick up on The Last of Us like that. I think if there's those hardcore gamers, especially the ones that are invested in the story and everything. I mean, I know I'm probably speaking a little prematurely when I say this, but so far when it comes to the series and everything in the game, it's an acceptable formula for me when it comes to that. And when you play the game, if you guys ever decide to play the game, I think you'll definitely agree with me on that, because it's a really personal story. The story arc, the characters, and where they're going with the direction of it and everything, it's working for me so far. I'm seriously looking forward to the next episode. And after watching the last episode of The Last of Us, I want to see where these next, because they're running into some other characters that show up in the game, and I want to see what direction they're going with them at that point as well.
So, Brandon, you haven't played the game, right? Or you've played it up until the point where you're at in the show?
I have not played the game.
Okay. So you're in the same boat I am.
Right.
And I think, the game's what, 6 years old?
No, it's a little bit longer. I think it came out in 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it a PlayStation 3 game at first originally? Or
That's exactly what it was. Okay. I played the PS4 remastered version of it. Now PS5 has an updated version of it, which I can't really justify myself paying $70 for, but still.
That's pretty much standard these days.
Yeah.
So my question to you, because you played through the game, I know you haven't played the second one. Do you think there is potential? Because if there's enough interest in the show for Naughty Dog to manufacture another Last of Us game.
Oh, they're already actually talking about it. Well, I don't know if they're really talking about it, but I can tell you this. The voice actor of Joel in the video game. His name's Troy Baker, by the way.
Oh, Troy Baker. Okay.
He is an amazing voice actor. I actually had the privilege of seeing him at a Comic-Con. I didn't get to talk to him or get his autograph or anything. I never knew that Troy Baker did the voice of Joel in the video game. And knowing Troy Baker, this guy has an extensive record. You know, even in the Batman series, he's played everything from Two-Face to Batman to Joker, all that.
DC Universe.
He's heavily involved in it and everything. As far as that, he actually somebody posted an article about Troy Baker that he is really he wants to get involved. If they're ever going to make a Last of Us Part 3, he's willing to participate and be a part of it and everything. So I don't know what exactly that means, because I don't know where his character goes after the second one. I can tell you after the first one, I'm pretty sure the second one game is going to be very interesting, because how they kind of left it off at the end of the first one right there, you want to know why he said what he said and why he did what he did.
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
there's cliffhanger.
There's a big, to me, there's a big cliffhanger. Exactly.
Spoilers!
So I think they will actually talk about it. And speaking of Naughty Dog, you bring that up. I was going to bring this up to your attention, because I haven't played the series yet. It's in my backlog. It's the Nathan Drake series right there, Uncharted. There's talks about actually making an Uncharted part 5 right now. So I don't.
I just read something the other day that said Naughty Dog was done with Uncharted, that they were complete.
I don't know.
So now that I've got conflicting information, I'm gonna have to do a little bigger.
Exactly. Well, the point. Exactly. The point I'm getting at, Naughty Dog is somebody that we really need to keep our eyes on, because these guys are pushing out really good games and everything. So, is there a potential for The Last of Us 3? I can't really say based off my experience, because I've only played the first game, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be something in the woodworks for it, or at least talks about it. So I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the second game. I want to see where it goes with Ellie, because it seems like it's more story driven towards her at this point. And from what I hear, as far as the TV series goes, they're going to actually dive into more of her story arc based off of the second game. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, so at this point, you know, the synopsis is you've got Ellie who's got some type of immunity or some type of way to fight it.
Yes.
So they want her to be the cure, right?
Exactly.
So perfect scenario, you get through it all. Ellie gets to the people that can make a cure out of her blood or antibodies or whatever it is. But how do you distribute that?
I can tell you how it works in the game.
I'm interested to know, because I'm thinking.
No, I wouldn't go too far.
Does that happen?
Yeah, I wouldn't go too far, Tim. Just
I don't think we want to, because we're going to want to definitely wait until after the first season's over for that to happen, because I don't want to spoil it too much for anybody.
I guess I'm just scratching imagination right now. I'm just,
I would like to next couple of weeks, every Monday or Tuesday, get together and record a review of the previous episode. This is all up until the first 4 episodes, and we can, as we go on each week now, we can compare it to what you've seen in the game up to this point as well. So I don't want to go too far in and ruin it, spoil it for the people who haven't played the game yet. So
I think it's a pretty good stopping point for it at this point, because any further after my experience with the first game and everything, it's really going to ruin it for you, for probably the TV. So I'd rather that anticipation build up, because I'm kind of excited to see where they're going to go with it at the end of the season. And I'm not even sure how many episodes they're going to produce for the first season. So far, it seems like they're coming close to the middle based off of the video game and everything.
Usually everybody's running 8 or 10 episodes now with the series.
That's slow these days.
Right.
Especially outside of.
You think they're about 50% through the first game with their
storyline point? I think they are. I think they're maybe just a little past the 50% mark right there, because we run into some new characters at the end of episode 4 right there.
Right.
And like I said, I can't remember the name. I know one of them's Henry, which I believe is the child. I cannot remember the name of the other dude that's in there, but they're pretty pivotal when it comes to progressing through the storyline of the video game and everything. So I'm kind of
that's something I wanted to see is more characters brought in. Because I like a good story, but how strong can a story be based off of 2 strong characters and a bunch of zombies?
You're right. I mean, because in the game, it really started off strong with 3 characters, actually.
Right.
Maybe technically a 4th. The 3rd character would be Tess, which is who we see in the show and everything. So she plays a pretty strong pivotal point throughout the game right there in the beginning. So, yeah, no, I agree with you. I think with the characters and the story arc building up, we want to see where this comes to fruition, how it pays off, especially throughout the TV series and everything, because a lot more story arc and character development right there is really gonna make the show shine. And I think with these 2 new introduction of these characters, season 5 is going to be really interesting to watch. Or not season 5, the episode 5 is going to be very interesting to watch.
I'm just on the fence with how much more tentacle French kisses can I handle?
That took me by surprise. I didn't really see that throughout the game or anything like that, but I kind of like the spin they put on it in the TV show. I was like, that is some really sick looking shit.
I'm kind of like, I'm sitting here eating some ice cream, watching the show. I'm like,
before we wrap this up, I got one other thing to say. Like with previous zombie shows and stuff, like especially The Walking Dead, it seemed like they focused a lot more on the zombie aspect of the whole game. This series so far, it's more about the people in the post-apocalyptic world trying to figure out how to survive and coexist. And in a way, the zombies, or what do you want to call them, are more of like a second afterthought in a way.
They had to
like that.
Yeah, they had to, and like even in the game or even in the series, TV series, they had to adapt. Now, what you're looking at when it starts off, I mean, after the first episode, we all know what happens, right? We see the daughter, who the actress that played in that first episode right there did a phenomenal job. Like, it was really good. I mean, I'm not going to lie when I say that I kind of had a little bit of a little tearjerker action happen right there. But it's going to go, what's the word I'm looking for? Help me out here. I just don't know how to explain. I just kind of lost my train of thought right there. I just know that there are going to be good things to come when it comes to that. But what happens is that after that story arc, it's 20 years. It happens like we're starting 20 years after this whole pandemic thing happened right there. So people are having to adapt. You got tribes, you got certain people that are involved right here. And then you got the military involved. It's like, this is like some really apocalyptic shit that's happening right now. Like, how's this going to happen? You got enemies. You got, if you want to call them zombies, you can call them zombies.
Raiders.
You got humans that are also
Pirates.
Enemies. You got military that's also enemies. I mean, it's a no holds barred, it's all for yourself kind of thing. So
and realistically, if you think of it like from what Brandon's standpoint,
yeah,
is a lot of zombie flicks are focused on just surviving zombies.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're coming to realize here is that it's focused on surviving a zombie era against other humans.
It is.
Because ultimately, zombies just want to chew on something.
Exactly.
But humans are conniving and they're planning and cunning, and they want to control. They want to all the things that come with being human in a post-apocalyptic world.
It just depends, man.
So you're getting a little bit of Mad Max mixed with Resident Evil.
It just depends on what side of the line that you end up on in that kind of in the environment right there. Because to be honest with you, kind of circling back from the beginning of the first episode, when you watch the first episode and how he talks about the fungus and everything, this shit is not so far-fetched. It's not far off.
No.
Like this
the news articles are already everywhere about how fungus have started living in hotter temperatures already,
or how they affect ants.
Well, that's been a thing. I remember, you may remember when Blu-ray first came out, had a PlayStation 3. I chose PlayStation 3 over Xbox 360 because it had Blu-ray.
Mhm.
And I felt like Blu-ray was going to outlive DVD HD, which was a good call.
It did.
Safe bet.
Yep.
But the first Blu-ray I ever bought was Planet Earth. And I don't know if you ever watched Planet Earth, but it is.
Is that the Travolta movie?
No. Planet Earth is like National Geographic on steroids. It's the first high definition.
I'm thinking of
film
Battlefield. Or...
documentary had Morgan Freeman. No, not Morgan Freeman. He's a European guy. They have used some of the footage and let Morgan Freeman narrate it. Oprah has done some re-narrating on it, but it might have been the guy that plays the Emperor in Gladiator, the old man that dies. It sounds a lot like him.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter. One of the things they focused on was the ant that is controlled by fungus.
Mm-hmm.
And not only ants, but there is the snail species, snails. Fungus controls their brain and makes them do things. And it talks about that. And this is PlayStation 3 just came out. So, I mean, you're talking years ago.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years ago, this was understood. So it's a weird thing to contemplate a microorganism or macro, a smaller organism controlling the mind and the emotions and the desires of a more advanced being,
Mm-hmm.
It makes you question a lot of things. So the whole storyline comes in and just immediately wraps you in, with a little bit of scientific fact from the beginning.
10-4.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, so this could happen. And there they hooked you. And then you're in it and you're watching it, and then Mr. Cauliflower Face comes in the room, and I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I hurry back. I promise you, I will not eat cauliflower, broccoli, or mushrooms for at least a month. Mushrooms maybe not ever again, but.
So I think it's probably a good stopping point. Wrap it up for today. Like I said, we'll be back next week with a review of episode 5 on our take and see where we're at now. So, you guys got your shots?
Oh, yeah.
Now, before we take the shots, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Share, absolutely.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. We really want to hear what your guys' thoughts are compared to the video game, compared to the TV series. We want to hear what you guys think about so far and everything. And also, don't forget to, I don't know where it is. It's there. There's probably a bell that you can click on. Make sure you check us out, Beards of War podcast. And I'd like to thank our special guest, who's also an official Beards of War member, Phoenix, Sixgun right here, Shane right here. Thank you for joining us.
Man,
it's been awesome.
Thank you for having me.
So, guys, let's put our shots up right here so we can end this on a bang right here. So, may you drink. May you drink with
drink.
If you drink, may you drink with me.
Drink with me.
Beards of War. There we go.
I'll swallow the bullet.
Oh, that's good stuff right there.